Hello and welcome to this very special episode 111, my lucky number of Levels Plus Whenever. We're going to talk about the ideal, for me, Smash Brothers 6 for almost an hour. I got pickups though. I have one. We'll go through that real fast before we get started. So I got Contra Operation Galuga for the PS5 from Japan, and I got the deluxe edition from Super Deluxe, which, you know, in an ideal world, Konami would release their own games instead of farming them out to limited run and subsidiaries, and I would rather support the subsidiary that's its own company than limited run. So this is how I have to do things anymore. But it came with a deluxe little booklet. It's all in Japanese though, and it has 2-disc soundtrack with the original and a retro remix soundtrack included, which is nice. That's why I got it, mainly was for the soundtrack. And I wanted to have this physically, so it's nice to have it on the PS5 where it definitely runs better and it looks better. I could see the jump, having played Bloodstained Ritual of the Night more recently, to this. Like, there's a big jump. So WayForward's getting a little bit better at their 3D stuff, which is good to see. Alright, let's get into the Smash! I will let you know that I have attempted to record this video 2 other times, gone through the entire thing, and then remember something that I should have covered or should have done differently or something. And so I've scrapped it twice. This is the 3rd time, and I'm going full in on doing everything myself. So I am in Tier Maker. I've added 150 possible characters. All the returning characters from Ultimate, all of my characters from my top 40 wish list, as well as other popular choices that I've read about online, for a total of 150 characters to sort through. You can see them all here. Quite a selection of fighters. And we've got 4 tiers that we're going to work with. Returning for third party and Nintendo, and new Nintendo and third party. So here's my intention. I'm going to go through the initial roster for Ultimate and make cuts. And as I make cuts on Nintendo's side, I get to put in a new Nintendo character to replace who I have cut. Third party is a little bit trickier, because I don't think it's fair. But what I'm going to do with third party returning is I'm just going to throw everybody back up there except the Echo Fighters. And we're going to have all the third party reps come back in. And then try to find some balance with new third party characters that it will double that amount, but not more than that. So, since that's the easiest part, let's go ahead and grab all those third-party characters and put them up in returning. Banjo, I'm making one exception because I don't want Minecraft in my ideal Smash roster, so I'm cutting Steve out of spite. And what I'm going to do, so that way I don't get confused when I'm sorting through all this stuff, is put the cut characters there from the past game. So all the Ultimate stuff will go in cut. When it comes to new third party, the ones I don't pick will just stay in the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my first wave of cuts before I start throwing people up there. So Dr. Mario and Piranha Plant, Bowser Jr. Yes, I've done this multiple times now, so I kind of know who I'm picking. Wario, you'll see I'm just going to go ahead and slap that Wario and Waluigi up there. Diddy is going to be cut, but you'll see that there's a Diddy and Dixie. So they're okay. Don't worry. I'm cutting Young Link and Toon Link and Sheik. I feel like Sheik's time has come to an end. Zero Suit Samus. None of the Kirby characters. Falco. Pichu. Jigglypuff. Lucario. Greninja. And Incineroar. Lucas. Roy. Crom. I'm getting stuck here because I always have this debate. Corrin. So I'm just knocking out the Pyramid characters I know I don't want back. These two I'm going to think about. Dark Pit. Villager. Wii Fit Trainer. Okay, so that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 21 characters that I could add. Why did I pick these characters so far before I start moving characters into the returning and start thinking about additional cuts as I go? Dr. Mario is a clone. Basically, if you're an Echo Fighter or a clone, you're out. That's the big reasoning. So that's Dr. Mario, that's Young Link, that's Toon Link, that's Falco, that is Pichu. In some ways, Lucario reminds me a lot of Mewtwo. That's Lucas, Roy, Crom, Dark Pit. And Villager and Isabelle are so alike, but I honestly feel that Isabelle is a better face than just generic Villager. Okay, characters that are not clones, why I'm cutting them. Bowser Jr., I'm just not a big fan of. Piranha Plant, cool idea, just not really memorable. Wario and Diddy I already explained. I really feel like Sheik needs to step aside for other Zelda characters. There's already 3 new ones that I'm going to be prioritizing on my ads. Because Zelda desperately needs some new blood, and that's why. I don't like Zero Suit Samus. I think it is fan service-y stuff I don't want to see about my favorite characters in all of video games. Incineroar, I just don't care for. I think that he has some great moves, but ultimately I just don't have a strong preference. Same with Greninja. Corrin, I despise Fates, so I don't want to have any Fates representation. And Wii Fit Trainer, I have Ring Fit Trainer to replace. And I'm going to go ahead and grab Ring Fit Trainer and just throw them up there. So let's start looking at this initial wave of returning. Mario is cut now. He's going to be there. Luigi is going to be in. Peach for sure. I'm going to keep Daisy, and I'm going to justify why. Bowser has to be there. I'm going to grab Yoshi just to resolve that. Rosalina, I think I want to keep because I would like to have the 3 major princesses in this roster. And it actually gives the Mario franchise near balance, which is kind of surprising. DK and K. Rool are both coming back. Unsurprisingly, all the 3 main Zelda characters are all coming back. Samus is. Dark Samus is another clone character, an Echo Fighter that I kept But I think I would rather have... Do I want to have 3 villains for Metroid? Is Dark Samus distinct enough if I were to give it a proper move set that's distinct, worth keeping to represent Prime? And my argument, I feel, ultimately is yes. I think that there is enough potential there to have Dark Samus as an individual character, much like how I have intentions with Daisy. The Kirby trifecta are all coming back. Fox and Wolf. I'll explain Wolf in a minute. Pikachu has to. I think Mewtwo has to. And definitely Pokemon Trainer. Captain Falcon is too iconic. Ness is important. Ice Climbers, I'm always half and half on. I think what I'm going to do, since I've got other duos, is I'm going to let Ice Climbers join the cut pile. I think that their niche will be filled by other characters with more personality and legacy. And honestly, Ice Climber is a terrible game. Fire Emblem. I don't want to have too many Fire Emblem characters. So I love Lucina, but I think I'm going to cut Lucina because I would rather have Ike, who is distinct, more or less, from Marth, than make Lucina Ike. I also have 2 Fire Emblem considerations down there. Game & Watch, I think, is too important to not have. Pit and Palutena, I would like to keep. Olimar I'm going to keep because Pikmin has 4 games. I think it deserves a spot, even if I could care less about Pikmin or the playstyle that Olimar has. I want to keep Rob. I want to keep Isabelle and Little Mac and Shulk. These 2 are skating in because they're freaking fun to play as. I despise their character designs, and I don't ever want to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because of it. But they are so fun. I want to keep Duck Hunt Dog, and I want to keep Inklings, and I want to keep Min Min. So let me justify some of my inclusions that might be raising eyebrows. Luigi, I want to reinvent totally. I want Luigi to be the goofy Mario character using the suits and using moves from the Mario and Luigi games and building on Luigi's Mansion connection. I really want to reinvent what Luigi is and not just have him be a clone of Mario, more or less. Peach. I want her to take on a lot of her Princess Peach Showtime elements into her character and give Daisy basically some of that old moveset. But Daisy's also going to have a lot of sports stuff. So she's going to run with soccer and golf and tennis and baseball and all the other sports that they have been in over the years. I want her to be the really sporty gal that she is. Link is going to be pretty similar to his Ultimate version, but I think we're going to keep the Breath of the Wild bombs. But I think the look is going to be Tears of the Kingdom, and probably I'll figure out... There would be something to do with some of the new stuff he can do in Tears. But I think that costume-wise, he's going to look like Tears. Zelda has her own game coming out, but I don't think putting her into chibi mode when everybody else is not is a good fit. So I'm leaving her as Link Between Worlds, but I'm going to probably have her lose that shadow armor from Spirit Tracks for the Echoes of Wisdom echoes, basically, and have her do something with that instead. Ganondorf I want to retool desperately so he's not a clone of Captain Falcon anymore. He's got plenty of magic and weaponry in his arsenal over the years to keep him interesting. I don't want to make him Tears of the Kingdom Ganondorf, though, because as much as I like that version, I still think Ocarina is my favorite. So I'm going to keep him Ocarina, I think. Samus is now in her Dread armor. I want her to keep up with the times and finally shed that other M look that she's had for 2 games. And the Dread armor is sick. She could alt skin to go back to her classic armor. And she'll probably have a few tweaks in her moveset relating to Dread. So I'm thinking like ice missiles instead of just regular missiles to actually have them have some oomph. Wolf is an Echo Fighter, but I want to mix him up a lot because I think he could. There's enough potential for him to have some different moves. I want him to have a bazooka instead of a blaster, for one. Just make him a little bit more varied. Marth will look like he doesn't engage. That'll be the callback to the most recent Fire Emblem. Give him a little bit of an overhaul visually. But otherwise, I don't really see any changes to him moveset-wise. And Inkling I updated to the Splatoon 3 model, but we'd probably have callbacks to the Splatoon 1 look, and then probably throw in a Splatoon 2 look as well for male and female versions, and then maybe have Octolings be the 4th slots, since there are no Octolings in the game. And I decided instead of having Octolings as a option down below, that I would do somebody with actual personality. So that ultimately, discounting Diddy and Wario and Wii Fit Trainer, gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 21 new characters that we can consider. So let's dump this down at the bottom. And the Nintendo characters stop at Mike Jones. So we actually have 2 rows of consideration. There's 22 characters here, and I believe I said 21. So only one of them might not make it. Anyway, let me just briefly run through the list of who I added, just to help keep things clear. So for Mario, I have Toad, popular choice among the fandom. And then I had Pauline, because I think she would be kind of fun with her music to have a very musical-based fighter. And then Geno, with his Resurrection and Mario RPG Remake, could be a great addition now that he's got a new 3D look that I think people like, and the game was really successful. For Zelda, I have 3. Impa was probably the most popular Zelda ad anyway, but she was also on my list. And then Midna and Linkle are 2 of my favorite Zelda characters, and I think both of them would be great ads. From Metroid, I have Ravenbeak from Dread. From Kirby, Bandana Waddle Dee, because the fandom likes him. I don't know why, but I have 2 Pokemon trainer types to come in, which would be Team Rocket and Penny from Scarlet and Violet. I have Lyn as my Fire Emblem choice, and the Leer to represent Engaged as the most recent game. I have Medusa from Kid Icarus Uprising, which was my pick. Fiora from Xenoblade Chronicles is also one of my picks, but one that I cut from my top 40. But now that I'm not worrying about that too much, I'm throwing her in. I'm sorry, Elma. X continues to get shafted on my list, and Mia was originally there. I have Off the Hook, which, thanks to side order, Pearl comes in as her droid form, which I think is going to be great. Twinell from ARMS, and then the rest of the characters are my choices, outside of Isaac, from other franchises that I think would be a good fit. Akari from 1080 / Wave Race, Lash from Advance Wars, Ashley from Another Code, Isaac from Golden Sun, Kyle Hyde from Hotel Dusk Glass Window, Zale from the last story, Mock Rider, Kachi from Sin and Punishment, and Mike Jones from Star Tropics. So there's 22 of them here, I think. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Nope, 13. There's 26 of them here. So 5 of them are going to get left behind if I follow the newfangled rules that I have. And these 3 have already made it in. So I guess I'm just going to do a quick process of elimination. I don't understand the Bandana Waddle Dee fandom. So that's going to be the very first character that I choose to cut off of this list. I don't want Alear in this game. I'm sorry. Alear is so poorly written in Engage that I have no desire to see how they would play in Smash. It's kind of the same deal with Corrin. So I'm cutting that option as well. Kyle Hyde. I love this character. I added him in because I love this character. He's one of my favorite male characters. But I just don't really know how his moveset could work. Outside of just being really mundane. And I don't think that's really fair to anyone. I'm going to cut Toad because I don't really want to add 3 Mario characters. And I think I would prefer Pauline. And Geno is the fandom choice that I think makes more sense. The last character I think I'm going to cut, I think it's going to be Mike, unfortunately. And I have made such a case for Mike. The problem with Mike is that Star Tropics is essentially dead outside of North America and kind of Europe, thanks to the Wii Virtual Console and the Wii U Virtual Console and Nintendo Switch Online. There is no presence of Star Tropics in Japan, and I just don't even think it would be considered. Lucas, I already cut. And the other thing with Mike is that he's a lot like Link. So, out of respect of everyone's time, I think that it makes more sense to me to have Mike take this one out, be my choice off of my top 40. And that means that everybody else gets in. And I will briefly touch on all of them, because most of them, if you watch the video that I did on my top 40, you'll get a sense. But characters that I didn't talk about. Wario. I've never liked Wario in Smash. I don't think that is very representative of the character to me. So I want him to be paired with Waluigi, and I want him to lean a little bit more into his Wario Land vibes, more than the WarioWare vibes. That, I think, is a better fit for him, personally. Geno, as I was saying, Mario RPG got a huge boost with the remake. Square Enix is on board with Smash. Nintendo and Square Enix are pretty buddy-buddy these days. I think it could actually happen, and we could have Geno playable in Smash. People would be happy. His moves work well with how the game works. So let's finally just get him in there. Make the fans really happy. Diddy was supposed to be with Dixie in Brawl, but they just couldn't make it happen, and then they never actually followed through on it. So I'm following through on it. I think the two of them should be tagged, so you have one that tags in and out with the other one. And Dixie could have her twirling hair and a couple other things to make her different. And that silly banana peel can go away, because nobody wants it. Dixie could use her guitar instead of peanut guns and stuff like that. So there's a lot of potential with those two being together. Linka wasn't on my top 40 list, but she was one I strongly wanted, but just cut because I wanted to have a greater emphasis on third party. But she could basically pick up a lot of the things that Link doesn't. And her crossbow, dual crossbows, might I even add, are really sick. She could use the Pegasus boots like she does in Hyrule Warriors. And I think that she would just be a lot of fun. And she can really have some good times being kind of the silly Zelda character, because she is kind of silly, and I like that about her. Penny would fill the gap of some of the Pokemon that we lost. I think I would want to give her at least 1 or 2 Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet, but I would probably throw in like Lucario, or Jigglypuff into Penny's moveset, so that way those characters aren't permanently lost. But Penny was extremely popular, and she has a banging theme in Scarlet and Violet, so she makes the most sense. Why Ring Fit Trainer? Because Ring Fit Trainer, it comes from probably one of the most popular games on the Switch. Like, you couldn't buy that for quite a while because it just kept selling out as soon as it got back in stock. So I really feel like Ring Fit Trainer is a good substitution for Wii Fit Trainer and has more potential thanks to the ring that she has to use, or he, to move around and do stuff. Talked about Fiora. I talked about the changes that I made to Off the Hook. Ashley's the new face out of my picks, and I think after playing another Code Recollection that D could be a really central part to how she does her moves. I did pick the Ashley that doesn't have D, but it's Smash. We can mash things together. But I think she could be potentially really interesting, and then she can also have a bit of a musical vibe to her because she wants to be in a band. Isaac, since he's the fan choice, everybody wants Golden Sun representation. Isaac with his Psi powers, I forget how they call them in Golden Sun, it's been forever, would give him some differences. And he could maybe swap Djinn, I think is what they call the little creatures that give you those powers, and do some different stuff. And I think just a good call to promote from an assist trophy to a main character. Much like Midna. Yeah, much like Waluigi. I'm just kind of looking through everyone here. And Lynn. Just another assist trophy that deserves a full spot. And I talked about everybody else. Third party. And I got quite a few, but not as much as I did Nintendo. So, what I want to do is at least add 1 to every company that's already here, and then try to balance some stuff out. So Square Enix already has 4. I could cut Sora because I don't care about Kingdom Hearts, but that would just devastate so many people because how happy they were that I'm not going to do that. I could cut Snake because I don't like Metal Gear Solid, but Snake is like the OG of third-party guest characters. He should probably stay, even if I don't care for him. Same deal with Joker. I don't care for Persona, but that was such a hype thing to launch the entire Ultimate DLC line. So, I don't feel like I should cut anyone else. So that means I'm going to have 15 slots if I'm going to double what's currently here. And let's go ahead and get Square Enix out of the way. And I'm going to have a hard time just picking one character out of the 4 I've got down here, because I argued for 3 of them. And the easy call would be to pick Chrono, because Chrono Trigger is a beloved game that has a lot of fans and a lot of people just wanting it to be on modern consoles, and it just hasn't happened. 2B is the fan choice. Nier Automata is an extremely good game. 2B is cameoed in a lot of other fighting games already. And then, of course, Tifa would be a fantastic addition to Smash as a third Final Fantasy rep. But I don't think Final Fantasy needs to have 3 representations if I'm only picking 1. I'm going to surprise you, and I'm going to pick Sayo-chan. because I really want Taito to be represented in Smash. I really want Zuntata to be in Smash. Taito's huge backlist of games has so many fantastic tracks that I've discovered thanks to Taito Legends 1 and 2, and then the Egret 2 Mini. I want that rich musical history documented in Smash somewhere. And as much as it kills me to not pick Chrono, because Chrono would have been my choice if Taito wasn't owned by Square Enix, but they are, and I don't think it's fair to just say, well, Taito could stand by itself. No, I'm not going to do that. It'd be like if I just decided, well, Atlas could stand by itself. It's owned by Sega. I can't do that. I am going to have Sayo-chan be my one Square Enix character. So let's now look at Sega. Sega already has 3 characters. To get them to 5, I can pick 2. And I'm going to probably make all of the Puyo Puyo fans sad. Because I'm going to stick with the 2 that I already nominated to get them to that point. Which is... I always get her name mixed up, so I need to see it. Elise. Elise from Phantasy Star. I think that Phantasy Star deserves a spot, and I will die on this hill that Vice should be in Smash. I'm making that decision right now. Alright, so that means I gotta get Konami and Capcom and Bandai Namco up a bit. Bandai Namco has been extremely modest, so I think I'm going to give them their modesty and only pick 2 of those characters, because I could just see them not wanting to be on parity for some reason because they've got the good fortune to develop the game. That's kind of what it's been. Taizo Hori was kind of the surprising, like just through a cursory Google search, the character I kept seeing on a lot of the images, and more than a Tails character, which would have been my thought. But I'm going to just throw Nightmare in there right now because Nightmare is the easy call. And then we've got Legacy. Dig Dug is one of the most successful arcade games of all time. And in contrast, Valkyrie is very obscure in some ways, although her Famicom game is quite popular. And Legend of Valkyrie is a brilliant arcade game. But I'm still going to go with my gut and go with Valkyrie, mainly because I have a hard time envisioning Taizo's moveset, him blowing up characters. Because we're not going to pop any of them. And I just can't see anyone being okay with that. So that's why I'm leaning with Valkyrie over Taizo. Is because I think that characters shouldn't be inflated. That's a fetish. Let's do Konami first. Since we lost a Castlevania character, I'm just going to just throw Soma up there to hang out with Simon. Everybody wants Bomberman in. Everybody. That's like the character I saw so much outside of Alucard, and I'm sorry, Alucard fans, I am going to overrule you with Soma every day of the week. So Bomberman has to be that character. Silent Hill versus Twin Bee. Now, if you remember in my video, which maybe you didn't see it, so I'll just quickly be succinct. Twin Bee to me represents the rich shoot-'em-up history of Konami and Hudson, which is why I picked them. Silent Hill would give us a great horror franchise representation And I went with Pyramid Head because that was the more popular choice. My personal choice, if I were to represent Silent Hill, would always be Heather. And Heather could be a fun character to have in Smash, given her transformation into Princess Heart. I forget what her Sailor Moon-esque character is called. But I feel Silent Hill is just a little bit too dark for Smash. I feel that the subject matter and the music is just a little much as I love it. So I'm going to still stick with Twin B as my final choice, but I may cut them for more third-party representation from other companies. Capcom is automatically getting Chun-Li to replace Ken. And then we've got 4 characters that are absolute titans. And as much as I love Strider, Strider's not going to make it with Dante sitting there. That's just too obvious. But I only have 2 more spots. And I have to put Resident Evil in because Resident Evil, it's also a mature series. It's also dark. But I think that it works better than Silent Hill would. Because Silent Hill is very psychological. And it's also, to be frank, quite psychosexual too. So I think that Resident Evil with its more B-movie flair would be a better choice. And I would rather have Jill. Out of the 3 who remain, Dante versus Phoenix is the obvious thing that's going to happen here. And I'm going to go with Phoenix. Only because I think Ace Attorney is more synonymous with Nintendo. Because all of those games started on Nintendo. All of them are currently available on Nintendo. It's a Nintendo franchise, an all but name, honestly. And Phoenix would bring such a distinctive and unique move set into Smash. Dante's guns and swords. We've already got a lot of swords characters, and we've got quite a few gun characters. I don't think he would bring anything that would really make him stand out, and he wouldn't be able to do what he can in the Versus series with all of those extra weapons. It would be very difficult. Phoenix, I think, is the better choice. So, that puts us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that would be 4 more spots. I'm going to go ahead and take Twin B out. As much as I think that that would be a fun character, I just don't think that that's going to land as well as one of the other characters from other companies. So Microsoft and SNK should at least get 1 more character each, I think, for Microsoft, because they keep buying things. They now have Crash, and Crash was a huge demand, and the Master Chief was also in huge demand. And then my personal choice is Joanna Dark. Joanna is a lot like Snake, and I realize that. Crash, however, I don't really see how his moveset would be that interesting. It would be spins, and Sonic already has issues with his moveset being so focused around his spin dashes that having 2 characters basically doing the same thing with just like spins, different spins. I don't want that, personally. Master Chief would probably be the more logical choice to have as a second character, but there's no Nintendo legacy. Halo's never appeared on a Nintendo console. And, you know, we can point at Cloud and we can point at Joker, that those characters made it into Smash before there was any Nintendo representation for them proper. But I still feel like Halo is just not the right choice. I didn't put Doom Guy in here. I didn't put Dovahkiin. Those are also other popular choices. I want to go with Joanna. Not only because I think that she's a great fit and could do some stuff very differently from Snake, but she's got that Nintendo legacy. Perfect Dark had an N64 and a Game Boy game before Rare was bought out by Microsoft. And with Banjo and Kazooie already here, it would really just wrap up that N64 feel. And Conker's too vulgar. So, Joanna Dark, even though she's from an M-rated game, could fit in quite nicely and stand out, I think, in this roster. For SNK, I could have also thrown Nakaruru on here from Samurai Showdown, but she's a swords character, even though she does have a bird, which would give her something different. I also thought her healing super would probably make the most sense as a Final Smash, and that would annoy people. So I went with Iori, who was my choice, and Marco from Metal Slug. And I'm going to surprise you, I think. I'm going to actually let Iori stay behind, and I'm going to go with Marco, because we don't have a run-and-gun rep. And Metal Slug, outside of Contra, is the titan of that genre. And since I didn't pick a Contra character, we're picking Metal Slug. I love you, Iori. I think you're wonderful. But I think that it just makes more sense to have that run-and-gun vibe with some different style of gameplay than just having yet another fighting game character from SNK. I could only pick 2 more characters, so I'm going to do a little bit more eliminating here. I'm going to cut Valkyrie because I do think she is relatively obscure. That leaves me with 3 more choices, if I'm going to stick with the guns that I have. But you know what I'm going to do instead? Because I think it would be more fun, and I think that it would be too limiting. I want to go ahead and expand my choices out through this row. But I'm not going to bring back Valkyrie, and I'm not going to bring back Twin B. I'm going to just stick with these characters on this bottom row here. And we're going to fill up a few spots. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in Kunio, who represents a lot of characters, honestly. Kunio is not just himself, but representing Riki, representing the River City Girls franchise, and Double Dragon. They're all going to be the various alts, like I talked about in my video. And Kunio represents beat-em-ups, and we don't have a single beat-em-up character in the entirety of Smash. Not a single one. So much like with Marco, I feel like we're representing a genre here that's very important. So I want to keep my choice for Kunio in the gang to be in Smash. I'm going to just go ahead and throw Zagreus from Hades up here. I realized that I actually have this new third-party slot that I just totally did not deal with. So I'm just going to delete it. Whoops. Zagreus from Hades needs to be in this game. Hades was a huge get on the indie front for Nintendo Switch. And he's got so many different weapons and so many different talents. And we could even incorporate roguelite elements by having him get boots along the way, which would make him random until he loses a life, which would be really clever. Maybe we could even have him use a Death Defies on occasion when you're about to get KO'd, and just zoom back onto the stage because you just can't in that moment because you've earned it. So there's some really cool stuff that I see with Zagreus that I'd like. I think Shovel Knight needs to be promoted from an assist trophy as well because of that legacy. There's so much good potential in Shovel Knight, and we saw a little bit of it in Smash already as the assist trophy. So I really want Shovel Knight to be in this game. I'm also going to throw Shantae up here as a third indie representation. And I really think that Shantae, having been in 2 prior Smash games already, is primed to make the jump full on into Smash. Between her transformations and her Pirate's Curse moveset, she's got it. She's set. She's ready to go. I want to give Jason a spot as well, because I think that Jason from Blaster Master could have a really intriguing moveset. I really do. With the tank and how he controls in Blaster Master Zero and all the stuff that he gains across those 3 games, I think he'd be really fascinating. So much so that Maria down here is going to probably not make the jump, because I'm going to probably have Jason represent that style of moveset. I think Sans, or at least an Undertale character, I'm going to go ahead and scoot Jason over there, makes so much sense. Truly makes so much sense. We already have a Sans costume. We have an Undertale remix by Toby Fox that already exists. We might as well go the full mile and actually embrace the phenomenon that is Undertale and have somebody represent that franchise as a playable character. And someday I'll play it. Someday I'll have an opinion. Shell is my choice from Portal. Ryu Huabasa from Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive. Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. We don't really have a Western character on this roster. Not really. Like, the closest we've got is Banjo-Kazooie, and if my dreams come to fruition, Joanna Dark. And that's, yeah, it's really... Because even if we look at Nintendo, there's not a lot up there that we can go, hey, that's an American character. Pretty much everybody outside of Diddy and Dixie Kong and K. Rool have Japanese history. So I think that Ryu's going to continue to sit out. So it's going to be between Shell and Sub-Zero. And I'm going to be honest, I don't foresee Sub-Zero making it into Smash. People really wanted him in Smash. Really, really, really wanted him in Smash. And I think he could be a really compelling character. But I don't... He's just so tied to ultra-violence that even when he's made an appearance in, like, Injustice, it doesn't feel right when he's not able to decapitate somebody or freeze them apart and then break them. How are we going to do a Final Smash for Sub-Zero where it feels appropriate to his character? Even if we freeze someone and break them apart and aim the camera a certain way so it doesn't actually show any gore, it's going to feel off. It's not going to feel right. So I think I still want Shell. And I'm going to go ahead and put her at the top there. I still want Shell in because I think Portal now has Switch Legacy. It's on the Switch. And both of those games are just absolutely fantastic puzzle games. And we don't really have a puzzle rep. And Arl right here is yelling at me. But I think that if I were to pick a puzzle game to be in Smash, it would be Portal. It would be Shell. And she could do stuff with various stuff with the portals. Have the turrets come up. Use the companion cube. Have different things come out of the portals that are bad to help her out. Shoot the gels. GLaDOS can be on her gun in potato form and assist in little ways. You know, there's just so much potential with Shell as a silly, silly moveset, but still reflects the coolness of that teleportation mechanic being taken to its fullest. That's who I want. That's who I want. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete this row because it'll then dump everybody down here. And this is excessive. Don't get me wrong. This is an excessive roster for a Smash sequel. It still has way too many characters, I think, to even try to make at launch if they're going to do a serious overhaul. And it's not Ultimate again. Because this kind of feels like Ultimate again. In a weird way. Even though there's a lot of new faces. It does kind of feel like there's just a lot to look at. But this would, I think, be a really great roster. And I made some choices that I wouldn't make because I think the fans are right in some of these situations. I think that some of these characters need to be here. But I also feel like I have a lot of my own personal biases showing. Hi, Vice. You would make it into this game. I think under normal circumstances, I think Dr. Robotnik would make it before you. Or Shadow would make it before you. But I don't care. I still feel like I've got a good roster here that really captures a lot of the video game industry's strengths. A lot of Nintendo's franchises, including a whole bunch that haven't been in here yet. And just would be a great way to knock out some of the cruft that has built up with the Echo Fighters and the clones, and just to give this some variety and some spice. This will be the last time I record this video, and it'll be the last time I talk about Smash in this capacity until Smash 6 is actually announced. This was a lot of work, doing this multiple times and then making my own thumbnails and making my own tier maker. But this is what I think would be great. I think this would be wonderful. I just look at it and it makes me happy. All right. That's that. That's enough Smash for the year and into next, I think, for a while. I just love rosters. Rosters are so fun. It's something that I think about way more than I probably should. But it'll be kind of good to let that go. And we got lots of other stuff to look forward to. I've got a nice backlog of stuff that I've been recording. So no shortage of material, just needing the time to edit it. So look forward to more in the near future. Until then, I hope you have a good set of days until we see each other again. And take care.